Oh, really?
It seems there's a problem in the northern regions of the kingdom that Otto is concerned will affect His Majesty's contentment. You see, King Renal has become accustomed to an opulent lifestyle, and Otto has been entrusted and empowered to maintain the status quo. Otto has seen the king through many hard times in the past, including severe drought. In fact, there was even a time when His Majesty almost bled to death following a battle that Otto came to his rescue. For this reason, King Renal places his complete trust in Otto, and Otto would do anything necessary to protect the king from harm. Our play opens in the castle with a discourse between King Renal and his trusted confidant, Otto Regulation.
Your Majesty, I'm afraid to bring very discomforting news to you. It is rumored that our usual supply of red wine from the north is not as plentiful as it was in the past. It appears the provider is the only source of red wine that it comes from and has fallen on difficult times.
Nonsense. Lefty has been our trusted supplier of red wine for over 50 years. He knows that this castle demands a significant amount of this output, and we will not tolerate one bottle less.
Apparently he's been weakened by illness. He says it cannot be helped.
But I've never met a more strong, muscular man. What could possibly weaken such an ox?
I believe it must be love.
Love?
Yes, Your Majesty. It is rumored he has been smitten by a woman named Anne.
Anne who?
Angina. They say she has robbed him of his strength and he's unable to work at even half his usual pace without becoming exhausted.
That little floozy. Otto, you know what to do. I'm authorizing you to do whatever it takes to make sure that our supply of red wine is not interrupted. Do whatever you have to do to convince Lefty that I mean business. He's tried to pull this on us in the past, cutting our supply in times of drought, but it will not pass. He's just going to have to cut back on the other customers, that's all.
As you wish, Your Majesty.
As Otto took leave from King Renal, he tried to hide his concern about the recent reports from the northern regions. Yes, the king was right. They had been faced with such threats before, but something worried Otto that this would be very different. He had heard of the haunting spell that this woman, Angina, could cast on a man. Otto worried that the king did not appreciate the gravity of the situation. But Otto had become quite resourceful in his own right, and he was not about to give up without a fight. Without hesitation, he was off to visit his old friend, Gigi.
JG, thank you for meeting me on such short notice.
Not a problem. What can I do for you?
I need your help getting a message to Lefty.
It was clear by the tone in Otto's voice that he meant business, and by going to his old friend Gigi, he knew that things would get done quickly. Madame Gigi Apparatus was a French sophisticate with many important connections to both high society and the seamy underground. Oops, sorry. A little premature.
We've received reports from the northern regions that His Majesty's supply of red wine has been cut drastically.
Do they experience another drought?
No, it appears to be something entirely different this time. I'm afraid the seductress, Angina, has entangled our dear friend Lefty and has left him quite weakened. It is rumored that ever since she entered his life, he cannot keep up with the demands of his work. Of course, His Majesty will hear nothing of the cutback and has asked me to intervene. That's why I come to you, JG. I need your help.
Otto, my friend, say no more. Shall we employ the usual tactics?
I leave the details up to you. As long as you secure My Majesty's red wine, you can employ any methods you like.
Gigi and Otto began their relationship the same year Otto became the king's royal servant. Otto had come to count on Gigi for a number of services, but none more important than maintaining the king's supply of fine red wine. Gigi and Otto had been through many times before, and they knew the routine. Soon Lefty would get the message that the king was not happy. As Otto left Jeji and walked back toward the castle, he noticed lightning off in the direction of the southern regions. Soon the rains would fall. Not wanting to waste time, Jeji already summoned her mafioso connection. He could not think of no one better to carry the king's directive to Lefty than the man known as the messenger. The messenger worked exclusively for Jeji and in return was offered protection under the auspices of Otto and the king.
I always look forward to doing business with you. What services might I provide?
Well, it seems as though our old friend Lefty is up to some tricks again. I need you to get a message to him that the king will not tolerate any drop in his allotment of red wine.
What's going on? Is there a drought?
No, it looks like Lefty may have gotten himself mixed up with Angela.
I sure hope not. That's an evil woman. I think she's buried 4 lovers.
Oui, she is a real heartbreaker. And it appears she has really done a number on old Lefty. Ever since those two have gotten tangled up together, he just has not had the energy to do his job. And you know how the king likes his wine. You better give Angie a call.
As Jeji and the messenger parted ways, Jeji felt confident the problem would soon be rectified. The messenger had always been Jeji's ace in the hole and knew that the messenger would be just the catalyst the situation needed. Now bear in mind the messenger was no choir boy. In fact, put quite plainly, he's a pimp, among other things. Under his tight control was the beautiful Irish lass, known by everyone as Angie. Angie is the daughter of Angus and Marla O'Tenson. It was known widely throughout the kingdom that she could stimulate like no one else. The messenger had used Angie's services before to get Lefty's attention, and she always had been very successful.
Yes.
Wasn't necessary. Angie, I need you to pay our friend Lefty a little house call. It seems he's been taken with another woman, and he's not been able to keep his mind on his work. And the situation is threatening to cut into the king's supply of red wine. And Otto has asked that we intervene on the king's behalf.
What would you like me to do?
Jeez.
You know what you need to do. I just want you to put a little pressure on him to do his job. He's never been able to resist your advances in the past. And even during times of drought, you've been able to squeeze an ample supply of red wine out of him for the king. I think this situation calls for the usual approach.
Consider it done. But before I leave for the northern regions, I will pay a visit to my friend Aldo. I will send him to the castle to help the servants better utilize the wine stores already available. You know Aldo has quite a reputation for being frugal. They say he can pull the water out of brine.
So after a quick visit to her friend, Mr. Aldo Sterone, Angie was off to see Lefty. While the trip to the northern regions was long, she knew that if she stuck to the main arteries, that she would be there in no time. It seemed that everywhere Angie went, she generated excitement. The heavy rains in the southern regions were causing some local flooding, making the traffic almost suffocating at times. But even the traffic seemed to move a little faster as she came through. She was truly an irresistible force. As Angie drew closer to Lefty, she could not believe how much he had changed since their last encounter. He looked very tired and weak. His muscles were wasted. This was not the strapping young man she had previously flirted with. His usual well-defined physique was almost bloated beyond recognition.
Lefty, what has happened to you?
I have fallen prey to the seductress Angina, and she has left me a broken man.
But Lefty,
He's stopping grapes.
you really need to carry on. You know your work is vital to the kingdom. You're the only purveyor of fine red wine, and everyone, especially the king, is counting on you to maintain your output.
I'm doing the best I can, Nancy. I guess we will all have to learn to live with a little less.
Lefty, don't you think that if you and I work together like we have in the past, that we can improve your production?
When word got back to the king regarding Lefty's situation, His Majesty was livid.
You get word to Angie to keep the pressure on that lazy, good-for-nothing lump. He's just become lazy in his old age, and I will not stand for it. I want wine, and not that Franzia shit either.
Not in the script. The king was in particularly vile mood because nothing seemed to be going well in the kingdom. The heavy rains continued and the southern regions were practically underwater. All of the rivers were rising and soon would be threatening the very survival of the kingdom. While the people looked to the king to order a lifting of the floodgates, His Majesty remained preoccupied with his penchant for red wine.
Lefty, I must ask you once again. Please work harder to give the king his wine.
I'm working as hard as I can, but I feel as though I'm about to give out.
But it seemed the more pressure Angie applied, the less work Lefty was able to accomplish. But Angie would not let up, and the rains continued to fall, and the floodwaters continued to rise, and all that could be heard as the kingdom came to its tragic end was the king continuing to demand,
Why is the wine always gone? I want more wine!
And so our story ends, sad but true. The moral of the story is quite clear. A king's preoccupation with red wine will eventually lead to the failure of the kingdom. A truly legendary performance. Please come up and take your curtain call. You've more than earned it. Look, standing ovation. Okay.